Hello everyone, hope you're alright and still able to access the videos and the worksheets online. If you have any trouble, please let me know. Now, before I go on to explaining what this video is about, there's a couple of things I just want to remind you of. First of all, you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner there is a pause button. Throughout this video I will hit that pause button, you'll see it appear, okay, just like so, and that will mean that I'd like to pause the video and then complete the task that is set. Before I go on to explaining what this task is about, it is important that you double check the title of the video to make sure that you have got the right one for your group. There are 3 available, okay, so just double check that one. So this project is the Robots project. You'll notice that there are 4 tasks that need to be completed for you to complete this project successfully. Throughout those tasks, they are then broken down into various parts of which they are leveled. So as we go through, I will pause, just like I spoke to a moment ago, and it will give you an opportunity not only just to complete the task, but also to check how well you have got on with it. So we've got a learning objective, okay? Another thing I want to point out are these keywords and terms. These are really important. I would like to highlight those ideally, and I would like you to remember them. They're going to be coming up time and time again. To help you with some of your explanations, okay, I've included some connectives down here. Again, please feel free to use those in your explanations. Now, the first task is about analysing a design brief. What I've got here, we've got this design brief just here, and we've got some information. What I would like you to do is read through that information and that design brief and answer these 5 questions just here that form part of the 5 W's. That should be very clear. Afterwards, I would like you then to think about what kind of research you feel you might need to do for you to successfully design a robotic home help device. So for the moment, I'm going to pause and allow you to complete that task. Okay, so having completed that task, just like I spoke to you earlier, what I would like you to do is look back through this target section here, and I would like you to think about how well it is you feel you've achieved that. Have you done basically a simple answer in there, or have you made something that is a little bit more detailed? Once you've done that, we can then move on to what is the second part of the tasks there. Now, a little bit more detail here to hit that higher level. What you're going to need to do is produce a specification. We have looked at specifications before, but what I would like you to do is like you to write your own for this, for your robotic home help device. And I'd like you to write that under these criteria here. You'll notice I put a question in there for you to think about. On the previous page of those connectives, again, which you could use, notice some of those keywords are popping up once again. But essentially what you need to do there is to produce a specification, a list of points that you should follow when designing and making your robot. So I'm going to leave you for a little moment, so I'll just put pause and allow you to complete that. Okay. Okay, so now we've got an idea of what it is that we're trying to produce. What the next task is to then produce it, to come up with some design ideas. To help us out with that, what designers typically do is they select a range of images. Those images can be collected from magazines, they can be collected from the internet, or wherever else you feel suitable, and they can then help you come up with some design ideas. Now, for this bit, you're going to need to come up with a range of design ideas. That's more than one or two. Okay, there's 3 kind of thumbnails. That gives you an idea of the kind of thing I'm thinking about and the kind of thing I would like you to produce in this space here. But I'd like you to come up with a whole range of them. Following on from that, we're then going to take one of those design ideas and develop it a little bit further. There is an outline there as to the kind of things that you must do and how to show your design ideas, about the annotations and everything else that goes with it. And again, there is the levels section just here, and it talks about how many ideas, what they should look like, and the level of detail that needs to be included. And you can use those 2 sides there to help you do that. So for that, I'm going to press pause for a moment and allow you to complete. Okay. So having completed that, similar to before, you can then check and how well you feel that you've done. Really important that you go back to this criteria. Now it is for the practical side of things an opportunity to rummage around the house to find out if you can get yourselves on a handful of different bits and bobs that you could perhaps put together to form your prototype. Your prototype is essentially a model of your design idea. So similar to before, where you're going to then score and assess how well your model is, how well it works. Try and get a photo, drop it in there. Really useful for me to then mark your work also. So what I'll do for this section, just similar to before, we're going to pause it. Okay, having done that, we're now moving on to the final section, the evaluation section. This is where you'll need to then look back at your specification that you wrote earlier, just here. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to assess your design ideas against this criteria here. And that's what this is about. So what you're going to do, or what is very useful and you could use, is a bit of a scoreboard just down here, where you could score each of your specification points from 0 to 5 as to how well it is that you met it. Total, add it up, okay, and then use that to help facilitate this. And this is where you're going to need to explain and justify how well your design meets each of these points here. Now, obviously, if it hit 5, that would be really successful, and you could tell me why. Obviously, if it's less than 5, say if it was 1, for instance, obviously it doesn't meet it at all or very little, and explain why it didn't do that and what it is that you could do to improve on it. So what I'll do is I'll pause it for a second, and that'll give you an opportunity to write that in addition to then looking at this leveled criteria here to see how well it is that you have performed. Okay, that's all sections complete now, so you'll have a good idea as to the average that you've got, okay, by looking at each of these points. And there may be an area now where you could go back and have a look at making some improvements. Finally, you'll just then need to submit your work. Thank you very much.